Welcome everyone to Epic Gameplay, your full moon in Aries Tarotscopes for the full moon in Aries that we'll have on October 6th, 2025. Welcome to my channel if you're new here, and of course, welcome back if you're returning. I'm Joshua the Psychic, and you can check out my website, psychicsun.com, if there's anything I can do for you. It's a full moon in Aries, and Aries is ruled by the planet Mars. So when we're looking at the chart, we say, okay, well, where is Mars in this chart? Because it's significant. Now, Mars is in Scorpio. It's in Scorpio at 10 degrees, and the full moon is in Aries at 14 degrees. So the full moon in Aries and Mars in Scorpio are making a 150-degree angle, which is what is called in astrology a quincunx or an inconjunct. So Aries and Scorpio have Mars in common because the traditional ruler of Scorpio is Mars. Its contemporary ruler is Pluto, but it still has ties to Mars. So Mars is what Aries and Scorpio have in common, but that's it. It's an inconjunct, meaning they have really nothing else in common. Aries is fire, Scorpio is water. Aries is cardinal, they start, they initiate. Scorpio is fixed, they stabilize, they finish. So we have to find some way of getting these two energies to work together because they have nothing in common and they really just can't see each other. That's why this full moon is going to require epic gameplay. We're going to have to sort of play Twister. We're going to have to honor that Aries full moon, say we're going to put our hand on it, but we also need our foot on that Mars and Scorpio because that is the ruler of the chart. And we're going to talk about how you can do that in this video. So find out where 14 degrees of Aries is in your astrology chart. That's the area of your life that is going through completion, illumination, and even harvest. We're going to ballpark it in this video for every single sign. But if you want to know specifically where that full moon is illuminating, check to see where 14 degrees of Aries falls in your astrology chart. So we're going to start first, of course, with the sign of Aries. Aries, this is your full moon. You're probably going to be filled up with lots of energy, and your personal goals will peak. So you may be completing a goal, you may be achieving a goal, and this is going to be a time in which you get to boldly step into a new identity and direction. We're all making ourselves up as we go along, and everything that you want to achieve is based upon your self-concept. So you have to see yourself as the type of person who would achieve X in order for you to achieve X. So determine what you want and who you have to be in order to achieve it. With a full moon in your sign, you can do anything, right? You can make any decision that you want. But in a lot of respects, because it's a full moon, things are going to reach a peak, and then we have the waning cycle. So what aspects of your identity no longer serve you? What are you going to let go of in terms of your personality or perception in order to go to that next level? Now, what's also interesting is that we have Mars and Mercury both in Scorpio, which are in your 8th house. So that is the house that is ruled by Scorpio, just like the first house where this lunation is ruled by your sign. So it's going to be beneficial for you, this full moon, to really focus on deep psychological healing. How can you trust more? Have you been trusting the wrong people? Do you need to give some people their walking papers, right? But how can you allow yourself to get to that next level of trust and intimacy? That might mean letting go of fear. That might be letting go of something that is not good for you. But there's probably going to be some kind of letting go. And you really want to think strategically long term, especially when it comes to your joint resources, your joint enterprises. So a little bit of extra attention toward your joint enterprises, whatever you do with other people, whatever mergers you have. Maybe you're in a business with somebody. Maybe you're living with somebody. Maybe you have shared finances with somebody. Maybe you're sleeping with somebody. And now is the time to really put a little bit of focus in that area, because that is the ruler of this chart, is Mars in Scorpio. So you want to make sure that you have everything taken care of when it comes to your joint resources, your enterprises that you have with other people. So it's a matter of really tapping into what you need to let go of in order for you to achieve deeper levels of intimacy, deeper levels of success, because theoretically, you're going to be stronger when you combine your resources with somebody else. And if you're not, well, it's better to fly solo. Now, the card we chose for you is Queen of Cups, which I love because Queen of Cups is aligned with the sign of Scorpio. And Scorpio is where the ruler of this chart is. So Queen of Cups is telling you to think and feel, really reflect, really understand what it is that you're feeling and analyze your feelings to a certain extent. Really think about, am I feeling this because it's true? Am I feeling this because I'm fearful? You need to really go within and really look at your emotions. What are you experiencing? And some time for reflection would be very well spent, because that Mars and Mercury in your 8th house are asking you to really, really think about how you feel and what you're experiencing emotionally. And really, what new emotions do you want to experience as a person? And how can you combine those new emotions with your new identity, right? So it's really, in a lot of respects, a new emotional identity for you, Aries. What new things are you going to be feeling on this new path? It's going to be wonderful. So in law of attraction, it's really very much an emotional game, meaning that whatever it is that you feel is what you're broadcasting. So determine who you want to be. Where do you want to go? And what do you need to feel in order to get there? So Taurus, this full moon will be hitting your 12th house of the subconscious. So it may be important for you to take it down a notch. When the sun enters Scorpio, we're going to have the full moon in your sign, and you're going to be on. That's when you're going to be in the spotlight, right? But now, the month before your full moon in your sign, it's a 12th house transit. So you're having to process everything that's happened over the past year. You've gone through a lot of changes. Your values may have gone through changes, right? Your status in your job or your relationship. So you need to allow yourself to process. Use this full moon cycle to process your experiences. Get extra sleep. Deny invitations to parties. Experience more privacy and really work on sorting things out. This is a wonderful time for affirmations, for visualization, for doing things behind the scenes. This is not the time for you to necessarily be seen and be out and about and be overactive. That is not the time for it. This is the time for you to get more sleep, to process what's been going on, to be really reflective. So quiet renewal and spiritual clarity are going to guide your next steps. Otherwise, there may be confusion, because if you haven't processed everything that's gone on over the past year, it might be muddying the waters. It might be keeping you from being clear. So give yourself that grace during this transit. That being said, Mars and Mercury are both in the sign of Scorpio, which is hitting your 7th house. And that is the house of partnership. So you're going to have to focus a little bit more on your partnerships. You got to give yourself that clear view of what is going on. How do you feel in your relationship? How does your partner feel? What can you do to strengthen your partnerships with honest dialogue and shared purpose. If you can wake up in the morning with a common goal with you and your partner that you and your partner share, you're halfway there. That's really what you need. You need a common goal, and you also, of course, need truth and honesty. So while you are nesting and resting with this 12th house full moon, pay attention to your partnerships as well. You want to strengthen them. You want to have really good dialogue. You really want to be honest. Remember, the rule of this chart is Mars. Mars is in Scorpio. Scorpio will not speak unless it can tell the truth. It will remain silent. So you have to have a come to Jesus moment, perhaps first with yourself. First, take time to really understand where you're coming from. What are you feeling in regard to your relationships? And then diplomatically communicate with your partner what it is that you've been feeling. And it might not be a negative thing. It might be a matter of you believe that this relationship that you're in or this partnership that you're in really has legs, that it's going to survive the test of time, that it's going to bring you a lot of joy. And if that's the case, then it's a matter of making sure you're on the same page with your partner so you can fortify your relationship and take responsibility for where it's going. And again, if you can collaborate together and say, okay, well, we both want this. Let's just keep our eyes on the prize. And if you're having trouble in your relationship, well, focus on where there is common ground, right? Where you can have common ground and keep your eyes on the prize. So talk to your partner, but first, of course, understand yourself, where you're coming from, what you're experiencing. Now, the card chosen for you was the Moon card, which is very appropriate because the Moon card is ruled by Pisces in the tarot, and Pisces in the tarot is associated with the 12th house, which is where this full moon transit is for you. So when you get the Moon card in a reading, it is often telling you to be passive, to not make any big sudden moves because the wind is in your face and things are subject to change. That being said, the Moon card is really, really good for spiritual pursuits, for meditating, affirmations, affirmations, anything spiritual. And it also is really good for creativity. So because you may be experiencing a lot of emotions, you may find yourself best off by expressing your emotions through some kind of art. Maybe you paint, maybe you write, maybe you dance, but this is going to be a really good time for you to get into the zone when it comes to something creative or imaginative. If you don't do anything like that, if you're not an artist or you don't do art, maybe you escape into a movie or a TV show or some music or whatever. But the Moon card is telling you to be passive. You're processing things. And if you can utilize this time to further appreciate art and beauty and verse and anything that takes you beyond the mundane, that is going to help you to process everything that you're going through, because you may be going through a lot. A 12th house transit full moon is not easy. So allow yourself to lean into your art or other people's art. So Gemini, this full moon in the sign of Aries is hitting your 11th house, which theoretically is pretty easy. The 11th house has to do with your hopes and your dreams and your wishes and your ideals. And it also has to do with your friends, your community, and your network. Also, it has to do with big gains. So whereas the second house is money that you might make on a regular basis, the 11th house rules big lump sums of money that you get in one fell swoop. So you may want to think about, do you have an offer on your website so somebody could pay you $10,000, $25,000, etc.? That might be a good way of really leveraging this full moon. Further, your friendships are going to be illuminated, most likely. and your future plans will be lit up with fresh energy. The 11th house has to do with hopes, dreams, wishes, and ideals. It asks, why not? This other person has this. Why can't I? And you're going to get there most likely with other people, right? You need other people to make your dreams come true, most likely. That's where your friends come in and your community and your network. So there's going to be a big light shown on all these 11th house issues that are going to help you go to that next level and achieve your highest aspirations. So ask yourself, if you could do anything and not fail, what would you do? What really, really excites you? Because this is an opportunity to really achieve those high aims. Now, Mars and Mercury are both in the sign of Scorpio, hitting your 6th house. So while you're dreaming big and hanging with your friends, you got to get your house in order. You got to get everything working like a well-oiled machine. The 6th house is about your routines, your habits, your work, and your health. So you must make sure that all of that is taken care of. Otherwise, there may be an issue. If you're not feeling well, for Pete's sake, get some rest, consult with a doctor. If you need any help, if anything's not feeling good, if work is in disarray, get everything buttoned up in terms of work. And it's a really great time for you to analyze your habits and say, okay, well, this is what I want to achieve. This is my 11th house goal. What do I need to do, 6th house, on a regular basis in order to ensure the fruition of my goal? So refine your routines and health habits for long-term success. Think long-term. What can you do on a regular basis that is going to get everything working in harmony? What combination of things are going to make you well and happy? So dream big, but also get down to brass tacks. What are you doing day in and day out? And what are your habits? Your habits are what you make first, and then your habits make you. So keep that in mind. Now, the card we chose for you is beautiful. It's 2 of Cups. So although this is a friend-focused transit, you may find love with either a friend, or maybe it's more. It could even be romantic. Or maybe it's a matter of this transit is really helping you to understand how important friendship is as the basis for any relationship. Like, you need friendship as a basis for your romantic partnership, right? It's just going to make things easier. Likewise, you may find true love in a group. Maybe you're spending some time with a group of like-minded people, or it could be a matter of a friend turns into a lover during this period. In any case, 2 of Cups, the 2 cups come together. I share my truth with you. So whether or not it's a friend or a relationship or anybody that is in a group that you may have, or anybody who is in your network, love is your watchword. And that's about sharing truth with the people that you are in connection with. That could be your friends, that could even be your community, but you want to share your truth with your partners, your friends, and your community, because that is what love is. And you may find love while pursuing your goals, or with your friends, or with a community. So keep on the lookout for that. So Cancer, this full moon in Aries will be hitting your 10th house. That's a big deal for you. The 10th house is all about your career, your reputation, how the world sees you, what you're known for, and how you spend your time. And that's really key to the 10th house, how you spend your time. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be known for whatever you spent the most time on, most likely, right? So it's a good time for you to really check in and have that light shown on your reputation, what you're known for. What do you want to leave behind? What legacy do you want to leave behind? And while you're going through this, there could be a nice career breakthrough. Something professionally could be reaching a peak, and there could be great success around you. And if that is not the case, it may be a matter of a big light is shown on what you need to do professionally. What's your next step? What's your highest excitement? And I would encourage you to choose professional paths that really light you up and excite you, because at the end of the day, passion is going to trump everything. If you're competing against somebody who is more passionate about your subject than you, that person may win. So you got to make sure that whatever you're doing really excites you. And that might be where your breakthrough is. Maybe it's a matter of you're getting an understanding of what you need to do to go to that next level. And you may be on display. So professionally, you're not going to really be able to let up during this period. You're going to have to show up on time. You're not going to be able to half-ass it. You're going to have to really make an effort to be present and be visible. So whatever you can do during this time to make sure that you're well rested enough to really bring it. You got to really step up during this period. It's really a matter of allowing yourself just to be seen, to allow yourself to be open and receptive to recognition and accolades, because this could be a wonderful time for you to get some recognition that you've been wanting for. So you don't want to be asleep at the wheel. You want to be on top of things. Now, that being said, you have Mars and Mercury in Scorpio, harmonious to your sign in your 5th house of play, of pleasure, of creativity, of joy, those things that light you up. So create with passion and nurture romantic joy that nurtures. So the 5th house, it could be your creativity, your creations, the things that you create, including your children, if you have children, or it could also be romance. It could be true love. Now, the 5th house rules true love, but it's more so associated with, say, affairs, lovers, as opposed to partners. So when you're talking about partnership in astrology, we're talking about the 7th house. That's putting a ring on it. That's a commitment. And the 5th house is not really a commitment. It might be somebody that you love being with, even somebody that you really, really love, but they may not be a partner. In order for them to be a partner, you need the 6th house, meaning your lifestyles have to jibe. Your lifestyles have to be compatible with each other in order to become a partner, in order for that 5th house person to become a partner. So this could be a really great time for you to also focus on your creativity, your passion, what lights you up, and apply it to your career. Obviously, like that's going to be key. And if you are in a career that you're invested in and you're not 100% passionate about it, be passionate about it. Try to be more passionate about it. And if you have other creative pursuits that you're really excited about, well, definitely zone in there this lunation, because that passion will bleed into other areas of your life. If there's a segment of your life that makes you really, really happy, well, zone in there this lunation, because it will bleed. It will bleed over to the other areas of your life. And be on the lookout for true love. Be on the lookout for somebody that might pop up out of the blue if you're open to a relationship. And if you're already in a relationship, this is the time to fall in love again and really to look at your partner and say, this is why I've fallen madly in love with you. There's nobody else like you. And rekindling that flame. This is a wonderful time to do that, to really appreciate your partner or find someone that you can appreciate. Now, the card chosen for you is Strength, which is so perfect because Strength in the tarot, the Strength card in the tarot, is ruled by the sign of Leo, which is linked with the 5th house. So you have a lot of solar energy that you're playing, which also, I think, bodes well for you in your 10th house. So you want to allow yourself to experience passion, but you also want to make sure that you're harnessing your baser instincts, your lower instincts. So in this card, the woman is gently prying open or closed, I think it's closed, the lion's mouth. And she's not doing it with brute force. She's doing it with gentleness. So sometimes you need to be really magnanimous, which is a Leo key word. And you need to understand that you are really powerful. So although you might be able to crush your opponent, maybe that is not the best thing to do. Maybe you need to be bigger and you need to allow yourself to be gentle in terms of your corrections or your communications, right? So if you're dealing with a partner, you want to make sure that you're being very, very gentle and that you're taming the beast, either their beast or your beast. If it's your beast, it's a matter of don't fly off the handle. If it's their beast that you're trying to handle, say you're dealing with somebody who's impatient to opposition or criticism, you've got to be gentle. So from your strength will come forth sweetness. So allow yourself to have gentle strength with yourself, even with the strength card. Say you're trying to get through something that's difficult. You've got to guide yourself. You've got to guide your beast. The beast within, we all have this beast within. And the beast can be completely suppressed and quieted down and stifled. Or the beast can be allowed to run willy-nilly. The beast can run roughshod through your life, right? It's an animal. But you want to find that in-between space in which your beastly nature is not being suppressed, nor is it allowed free reign. You've got to guide the beast and say, this is what I want, and this is where I'm going to focus my energy. That's where you're going to focus your fire energy. So you may be dealing with your inner beast, or you may be dealing with somebody else's inner beast. And I would say, again, it's all a matter of being gentle but strong. And from your strength will come sweetness. So make the strength card top of mind for you during this transit, especially in terms of your career, because diplomacy will get you further, right? You get more flies with honey than you do vinegar, and that is aligned really with the strength card and the strength that you may have to employ. So Leo, this is a great full moon for you. You and Aries get along like peanut butter and chocolate, fellow fire signs. In fact, I think the best match for Leo is indeed Aries. I think the best match for Aries is Sagittarius, but the best match for Leo, theoretically, is Aries. So this is a great transit for you. It's hitting your 9th house, which is all about expansion and joy and risk and taking a leap of faith. So you may experience travel. You may go on a foreign trip during this transit, or you may plan one, or you may be deciding how you want to expand your horizons. Maybe you want to go to school, or maybe you want to do a deep dive into some subject, right? Because you're going to go beyond your limits. That's what this full moon is shining a light on. It's shining a light on how can you expand and grow. Now, the 9th house has to do with risk and speculation, just like your sign. And it really is about a leap of faith. Entrepreneurship is aligned with the 9th house. So is publishing. So is broadcasting. Because when you're sharing yourself with the world, in essence, that is a part of you. And you're expanding. It's going all around the world. So how can you expand and grow? Is that by traveling yourself and experiencing more of the world and allowing the world to experience more of you? Is that broadening your horizons and helping you to understand things on a different level? There's a sort of a foreign aspect with the 9th house. It does rule foreigners, so this could be a really interesting time for you when it comes to foreign affairs, if you have any. But the big thing is, where do you want to take a leap of faith? Is it publishing your book? Is it going on a trip to someplace you've never been before? Is it investing in education? All of these things are leaps of faith. And that is the name of your game this full moon. So the full moon will be shining a light on where you may be taking that leap of faith and follow your highest excitement. Your integrated highest excitement, meaning be aware of what you value in your life, right? If you're a parent, you can't, just go off to Paris. Perhaps you could if you have the help, but you want to make sure that you're following your integrated excitement. Now, what's interesting, you have this very, very high-flying, aspirational ninth house full moon. At the same time, Scorpio, the ruler of this chart, is Mars in Scorpio. Scorpio is hitting your fourth house of home and family and emotional security. So even though you may have really strong aspirations and an awareness of how you want to expand and grow, you're going to have to focus too on your emotional security. Are you feeling emotionally secure? Are you feeling unconditionally loved? Are you feeling unconditionally supported? Do you feel the universe has your back? I hear that a lot. Does this person have my back? In my readings that I do? Well, it always has to come back to, well, do you have your own back? Because if you have your own back, it does not matter if anybody has your back, right? Because that's going to be reflected back to you. So if you find that people don't have your back, you got to make sure you're showing up for yourself and find ways in which you can support yourself better, and that will be reflected back to you. So additionally, the fourth house is about your home and your family. It's about your foundation. And it starts really with that sense of self-trust that you're going to need to cultivate during this transit. Likewise, there may be a family matter that needs attention. You might need to focus on a parent or your child. And that needs to be all squared away. You got to make sure that you're doing whatever you can to feel more emotionally secure and that your domestic responsibilities are tended to. Then go off to Paris, or then focus on your publishing, right? Or whatever it is that you need to do. It always is going to help if you're coming from a really strong launching pad. And that launching pad is your fourth house, is your emotional foundation. And the fourth house has to do with home, whereas the ninth house, where this full moon is for you, it has to do with travel. But we take our home around with us everywhere we go. An emotionally secure person is going to be comfortable in their home, as well as comfortable when they are in a foreign land, theoretically or literally. So what you want to make sure to do is make sure that emotionally you're feeling really loved, cared, and supported for. Tap into that energy of the Divine Mother, and also apply that energy of the Divine Mother to the people who are in your family of choice or family of origin. And once that's squared away, off you go. Now, the Wheel of Fortune is the card we chose, which again is so awesome because the Wheel of Fortune in the tarot is aligned with the planet Jupiter. It doesn't have an astrological reference. It has a planetary reference. Some cards have astrological references and other cards don't. They have only planetary references. But the Wheel of Fortune in the tarot, its planetary reference is Jupiter, planet of luck, expansion, and abundance. And that is the ninth house. It's associated with the ninth house. It's associated with Sagittarius. So what this means is that there's an opportunity for you. You want to allow yourself to stay at the hub of the wheel in life, in terms of this metaphor. So you're staying at the hub of the wheel and you're watching your destiny play out. And there may be an opportunity, and then you're going to be at the hub of the wheel and you're going to jump on that opportunity. So you want to make sure that you're centered. And when you see a chance that you like, take it. Because there's going to be a lot of opportunities that are illuminated for you this transit. Now, that being said, when the Wheel of Fortune spins, it might not be a new opportunity. It might be a cycle. So you at the hub of the wheel, you're at the hub of the wheel, and you may see a cycle repeating itself. Oh boy, I did this before. I always get myself in trouble in this way. You have an opportunity. If you're at the hub of the wheel, to say, you know what? I'm going to pass on this. I'm not going to repeat this cycle. But if you're not at the hub of the wheel, you're in its spokes, then there's an opportunity. You just go for it. And then there's a cycle and you're just, it's familiar to you. You think it's destiny because it's your karma and you go with it, but you don't want to do that. So this is a wonderful opportunity for you to really be centered and really look at your life from that high vantage point, from that higher mind perspective. What are we doing here? What makes you happy? Are you fulfilled? What do you need to do in order to reach that next level of fulfillment? Because the Wheel of Fortune is spinning and it's going to give you an opportunity, but it's also going to tell you, like, do you want to go here again? Do you want to repeat this cycle? So choose wisely and do whatever you can to depersonalize things. Look at things as best as you can from that higher vantage point. Take yourself out of it when it comes to other people. If you can, I know that's tough, but if you can, then you're going to realize, like, it's not really about me. It's where this person is. And that's going to help you to not repeat any negative cycles that are based upon your fear or your character defects, right? Because nothing is all about us. Not everything is about us, right? So seeing things from a higher vantage point is also going to help you to make better decisions. And that also is what is going to keep you at that hub of the wheel. So Virgo, this full moon in Aries is hitting your 8th house. So this is going to be an opportunity for you to transform your finances, intimacy, and your shared commitments. So the full moon is shining this big light on 8th house matters. And at the end of the day, the 8th house has to do with boundaries. Those that you set where you say no, and those that you dissolve where you say yes when you lean in. So you've got to determine where your boundaries are. Do you want to invest further in something because you believe that is going to make you stronger and result in success? Well, yeah. I mean, the 8th house is a financial house. So this could be a matter of a light is being shown on where you can invest for the best returns. And this could be in finance, and this could be in your relationships, etc. So you're going to be able to really look at where your time and energy and resources are best spent. It's going to probably become very clear. Here's an opportunity. You can invest in it. This is an opportunity too. You could invest in it, but it might not yield the results that you desire. So it's a time for you to really transform your relationships, your financial health, by making those changes that are logical. And I say that because Mercury and Mars in Scorpio are hitting your 3rd house. Remember, Scorpio is really important this transit because Mars is the ruler of Aries, and Mars, this lunation, is in the sign of Scorpio. So we have to honor wherever Scorpio is in our charts, because even though that Aries full moon is big and bright, you do not want to ignore Scorpio, right? You got to make sure that you're paying attention to it, or it's going to bite you in the ass, right? So with you got Mercury and Mars hitting your 3rd house. So you got to communicate very clearly. You got to get very, very logical, because the 8th house, and it's a full moon, is probably going to be having you feeling a lot of emotions. The 8th house brings up trust issues. It's about sex. It's about death. It's about taxes. The 8th house. These are not small matters. And when we're dealing with things like sex and death and taxes, issues of power and control come up. So it's going to behoove you, with Mercury and Mars in your 3rd, to get really logical and clear. Utilize that detachment by seeing what is going on and what moves you can make, because you don't want to make moves purely emotionally. You got to balance the head and the heart. So communicate with precision to anchor trust and lasting agreements, especially if you're involved in some joint enterprise. Like, what is your role? What is the other person's role? What are you giving? What are you giving the other person, right? It's all about balance, right? So communicate about anything that is eighth house related specifically. Because the eighth house also has to do with investments, you might be deciding that you need to transform something in your investments. They're not going the way that you want them to go. So that means using Mars and Mercury by being logical and saying, okay, well, is this a trend? Is this the way things are going to continue to go? Are things going to change? You want to be logical. And, the best thing next to knowing the answer to a question is knowing where to find it. So seek professionals if you need to. If you're having questions about your investments, get a second opinion, right? The card chosen for you was the Magician, which is perfect because Mercury is the planetary ruler of the Magician, and it's aligned, therefore, with Virgo as well as Gemini. So you're going to be able to communicate in ways that create miracles. If you're having an issue with an eighth house matter, be it in terms of intimacy or finance or some kind of shared enterprise, you can utilize the Magician to say the right thing at the right time to get the results that end in this win-win situation, because that, at the end of the day, is what is going to really bring the most amount of success. You want to have a holistic view, a holistic sense of success, meaning that if you're in a partnership and somebody's getting screwed, most likely you're not going to feel as successful as you would if everybody was happy, right? We live in an abundant universe. We live in an abundant universe. There is enough, more than enough for everybody, right? So how can you be the Magician and make that really clear in your communications and ensure that everybody has more than enough, right? That everybody's needs are being met. The Magician creates miracles, and all miracles are based on love per the Course of Miracles. So make love your watchword during this period. Love yourself so much and allow that to be reflected back to you. And I would say communicate with love, right? Communicate with love and really try to find common ground so you can either fortify the commitments that you have or make choices that are going to make you more empowered, i.e., disconnecting, right? The eighth house does have to do with endings and boundaries. This could be you saying, you know what? I can't do it anymore. I'm done. And if that's the case, well, again, you can do it in a way that is with love and compassion and care that makes it easier for everyone involved. So Libra, this full moon in Aries is hitting your 7th house. That is a house that is very important to you because it's your house of partnership. So a big light is going to be shown on all of your partnerships. You could reach this fulfillment. Finally, things are coming together. We're on the same page. Things are better for him. Now they're better for you. Or it could be shining a light on, oh yeah, this isn't going to work. Yeah, no. So hopefully, with that light that's shown in your relationships, you're going to then be able to make empowering decisions going forward. But there's going to be a defining moment, most likely, in a relationship in which you get a very clear idea of what you're playing with here. Is this something that we can make even better? What needs to be adjusted? Does it need to be tossed? Do you need to start from scratch? Right? So it also might be a time in which your relationship needs, say you're not partnered or you don't have a particular partner that you want yet, this could be a big light that's shown on that, making this partner appear. So this could be a time in which your partner is illuminated. Maybe they've been watching you from the shadows, like Phantom of the Opera. Hopefully not. That might be a little creepy. But you may get not just an idea of the partner that you want, but you could actually find a partner during this period, which is great if you're looking for one. Now, Mars and Mercury are both in the sign of Scorpio in your second house. So it's very important, even though you're going through a seventh house transit, to hold on to what you got. Very important for you to make sure that you are really thinking about you. And I say this with conviction because Libra can be over compromising. They can really go far for a partner. You know how they say people don't change. She's never going to change. You should just, leave. I have to say that Libra will actually change. They will change for a partner. They will go all out for a partner. If you like watching a particular show, that Libra will love that show too. Typically, we're talking archetypically. You have to look at the whole chart, but typically Libra can be very over-compromising. Now, with Mercury and Mars, both in Scorpio in your second house, you mustn't do that. You have to guard your own stuff. And that's your values, and that's your self-esteem, and that's your resources. So there needs to be a focus on that, right? Say you value respect. Are you being respected, right? Are you over-compromising and not allowing yourself to be respected, right? So you want to clarify what your values are during this period. Really zone in on that. Even though this is a partnership transit for you, that Mercury and Mars in your second house is saying, okay, well, what do you want? What do you really care about? What makes life worth living for you? What are your non-negotiables? What do you really, really value? Because happiness in life is value fulfillment. But if you don't know what your values are, you will not be able to be happy, right? So get really clear on what matters to you at this juncture. Because remember, we had eclipse season. Your values may have been jostled around a bit. What mattered to you so much before isn't that big of a deal now. So check in with yourself, right? And also, in terms of your partnerships, well, if you're in a business partnership with somebody or it's your spouse, you want to get really clear on your financial goals and what necessary steps you need to take in order to ensure your financial wealth. What do you need to do? Talk about it. Communicate about it, right? Now, the card chosen for you was Queen of Pentacles. Randomly chosen, which is great because yet again, this aligns with either the full moon or Mercury and Mars. So Queen of Pentacles is ruled by the sign of Taurus. The queens in the tarot are all the fixed signs. And Taurus aligns with the second house of values, of money, of possessions, right? So the card chosen for you is essentially telling you to really honor that second house. How can you be very Taurus about things right around this period? Tauruses are a bit stubborn. That's what they're known for. They're loyal, yes, but they're loyal to their values, right? Whatever they may be. A byproduct of that for Taurus a lot of the time is people. They're very loyal to the people they love. But with Queen of Pentacles, we're talking about you allowing yourself to be very, very grounded. No sudden moves. Keep things really nice and stable. This will not be the best time, most likely, for an investment with Queen of Pentacles, because Queen of Pentacles is saying, hang on to what you got. So is that second house. Even though Mercury and Mars are in the sign of Scorpio, which is aligned with the opposite house. For you, with Libra, you got to make sure that you're holding on to what you have, that you're being very clear in your values. And I'm not saying don't give an inch. I'm just saying make sure that you're aligned with what you care about and what you need to do to set lines in the sand that protect you. Because at the end of the day, with Mercury and Mars in your second house, you want to get out of this transit feeling more valuable. So make that be your litmus test. What do you need to do to feel like a more valuable person, like a really high value man or woman, what do you need to do? What do you need to communicate? How do you need to behave, particularly in your relationships? Would the most valuable person in the world be doing this in terms of your relationship? So let that be your litmus test and enjoy your full moon. So Scorpio, this full moon is in your 6th house, but it may as well be yours. May as well be your full moon. Because Mars is in your sign. I shouldn't say that. Aries might get mad. It is an Aries full moon. It is indeed. At the same time, it is hitting your 6th house. So Scorpio, if you ever seen a Scorpio at work, they're like police officers, essentially. And it's pretty cool to watch them. So they can be very militant in their day-to-day lifestyle, which is why Aries rules their 6th house. It's delightful. I think it's great. You can always get a lot done if you're on a team with a Scorpio. So your 6th house has to do with your day-to-day habits, the nuts and bolts of your daily operations. It's your job. It's your health. It's your habits. It's what you do on a day-to-day basis that keeps your life running like a well-oiled machine. And everything, of course, starts with health. You need that. And the 6th house is aligned with that. It's aligned with your health and what you also need to do to keep your health up, right? Especially as we get older, if we don't use it, we lose it. It's very, very strange how, okay, if I exercise, I'm not in pain, but if I don't exercise, I am in pain, right? So listen to your body. That is going to be the big thing for you, Scorpio. Listen to your body and don't be the tough guy or gal. Make sure that you're getting anything checked out. You should be feeling perfect as much as possible. And if not, consult with a medical professional to do whatever it is that you need to do to find out what you're playing with so you can improve that, so you can feel perfect. We can't be perfect, but we can try to feel perfect, and that's going to make things more perfect, right? So this is a time for you to really look at your habits, right? A big full moon is being shown on what you do day in and day out, the habits that you have, the things that you do regularly. Could you systemize things and make them more efficient? Likely not, since Scorpio is extremely efficient, but could you? Could you make things even more efficient? Could you get things running more smoothly? Could things be cut out that our time sucks? Because I'll tell you, nothing is more satisfying than cutting out things that are a waste of time. And then, of course, you realize, like, what was I thinking? So a big light is going to be shown on that, and then it's opportune for you to say, okay, well, this doesn't make sense. I can cut this out. Or is it a habit that you're like, you know what? I don't need to drink this often or put cream in my coffee all the time, whatever it might be. But those little things, we're talking about the minutia with the 6th house. Like, what little things can you do? Can you either cut out or can you do more of that is going to make you feel better? And it also is about service, right? How are you of service? When you surrender to service, just makes your life so much easier, because then it's like you're not focused on yourself, and then there's not a whole bunch of pressure. It takes the pressure off. So think of also how you like to serve. How do you love to serve other people? And lean into that. Also, that full moon might be shining a light on that. You might realize, like, this is how I'd love to serve. This is what I would like to do on a regular basis. Meanwhile, Mercury and Mars are both in your sign, so you're really going to be feeling strong this full moon, most likely. It's going to create a little bit of tension, right? Because you got the full moon in fiery Aries, and, well, fire and water are not the best of bedfellows, right? So you want to make sure that you're dealing with your emotions in a very, very productive, practical, keyword practical way. So drama is not practical, right? It doesn't really lead to anything. Anger, its only purpose is to reach out and create more anger. So that's not practical, right? So think about how you can utilize your energy and flow your energy in the best way possible for the best case scenario to unfold in your life. It's love, right? At the end of the day, the more love you're feeling, the more abundance you're generating. It's not coming off the top, meaning it's not coming off of you. If you're connected to the universe and you're relaxed and you let the universal life force energy flow through you, you're not going to be depleted. If you think it's all you and it's all on you and I have to do this and I have to do that, which happens to all of us, right? That's not going to be practical. What's going to be practical is for you to perceive the abundance all around you, to tap into resources beyond yourself and let them channel through your beautiful personality. And that is what is called for here. You're probably going to be needing to be a leader. You have all this first house stuff going on with Mars and Mercury. So you're going to have to lead. And you want to lead with that magnetic, connected to the universe energy. And you also want to be strategic. Remember, that sixth house is highly practical. It's modest. Let's face it, it's boring. And boring is not bad. Even the card we pulled for you, Knight of Pentacles, he's ruled by Virgo. So this is telling you to be really very Virgo-y and allow yourself to keep things together, to not really be fazed by things, to be grounded and unobstructed by currents. Focus on your work. Focus on service. That's where the full moon is for you anyway, right? It's a matter, though, of realizing that you're incredibly empowered during this time with Mercury and Mars in your first house. That means that that energy that you have can be applied to your work, to your service, to your habits, to your health. So this is a very important full moon for you. You're going to be a lot more empowered with a lot of energy, and you're going to be able to apply it to those sixth house things. And it might be a matter of just concocting a plan during this period. You might not want to implement things. Remember, the Knight of Pentacles is the only knight in the tarot that is not in motion. He is stable. He is not moving. So it might be a matter of a light is being shown on these sixth house matters. And you're going to then realize, well, I'm pretty powerful. So what do I want to do? And then you're going to be able to create a plan and implement that plan effectively. So Sagittarius, this full moon in Aries is hitting your fifth house. Going to be a lot of fun for you. The fifth house is anything that brings you joy, anything that lights you up. It could be true love. It could be your creativity, your creative projects, anything you create, including your children, if you have children. So it's a big light with this full moon that's going to be shown on your creativity and what you want to do that makes you happy and your passion and your joy. And in fact, a big light could be shown and illuminating romance. That's another fifth house thing. So if you're in the process of dating or you're looking to date and have fun, this is a great full moon for it. There's going to be a big light shown on what will bring you joy. So if you don't find somebody who brings you joy during this period, you may get a light shown on what will. So then you know what to look for, and then you'll find somebody great for romance. But what we have here for you are sparks. And that's really key with the fifth house. It's whatever lights you up, whatever sparks your excitement and your joy. So you could be reaching fulfillment of a creative project during this period, right? Or you could, again, it could pop and you could meet somebody great and you're like, this is true love. I found the one. When you know, you know. Just so you know, sometimes when you know, you do not really know. So with the fifth house, it is all about true love. Things that you really, really love. Platonic as well as romantic. And with Mars and Mercury, they're in your 12th house. So really, it's putting you in this bit of a pickle because you got your fifth house, which is having you partying and enjoying yourself and having a lot of fun, being social, maybe dating, being the life of the party, being the star of the show with that fifth house. But Mercury and Mars in your 12th house, and you may just want to sleep. You're like, I don't know. I don't know why I'm just don't want to do anything. That's completely normal because you got a lot of energy in your 12th house, which is saying you need to right now process what's happened over the past year. Like a lot has happened. Have you given yourself that grace to process what you've gone through? How has that changed your worldview? Can you look and see whether or not you've acquired some limiting beliefs over the past year? Sometimes when things get rough, we may think we've recovered from it, but we're not realizing that it's changed our worldview. Now we don't trust people, or now we worry about doing this again. So you want to really look at what's going on in your subconscious, and you really want to utilize this time to get some extra rest, get some extra sleep, and really determine, what do you want to believe? What do you want and what do you have to believe in order to achieve it? Because first you make your beliefs and your beliefs make you. It could be a matter with your 12th house transit that you have to cultivate new beliefs in order to express yourself more creatively, or in order to fall in love, or even to have a child, right? So even though it's a fifth house fun transit with Mars and Mercury in your 12th, you got to balance that outer excitement with inner guidance and spiritual rest. And also don't miss out on this opportunity to really think about what brings you joy, what will make you really happy, and really plant in your subconscious that it can happen. And the easiest way to do that is to pretend it already had happened. So just like, Bruce Lee, for instance, with the board, or any martial artist, they teach you to go past the board. You don't want to aim for the board when you're punching. You want to go past it. So what in your mind can you envision that allows you to see a scene in which it already happened? Either you're being congratulated for your promotion, or you're seeing your book on the bestsellers list. What are you visualizing that is giving you that sense? And feeling is really key here, but gives you that sense that, oh, this already happened. There's some timeline in which I already achieved this, which brought me joy. That's going to be the easiest thing for you to do, because you really want to work with this 12th house energy. First, we make our beliefs, and then our beliefs make us. So when you're visualizing something as if it had already happened, you've gotten what it is that you've desired, then what winds up happening is you become more of a vibrational match to it, and your beliefs change in such a way that you believe you can have it because you already had it. You already had it. Your mind can't differentiate something that really happened with something that you're intensely visualizing. So intensely visualize during this period whatever you think might bring you joy. That's the best way to work with this energy. It's actually really great for you, Sagittarius. And the card chosen for you was Ace of Wands. So you're going to have a lot of energy. It is a fifth house transit. The aces are all potential. The Ace of Wands is a big torch of fire, and it's up to you. You get to determine where you want to put this burning flame. Do you want to put it toward your creativity? Do you want to put it toward finding true love? Do you want to put it toward having children? What do you want to utilize all this energy? Because you're going to have a new fire cycle, and it's going to be great. But you got to determine where you want to put that energy, because the Ace of Wands is a very raw energy. And if you don't have an outlet for it, it could be wasted. And worse than wasted, it could be going toward causing trouble or obsessing about things, or, something that's toxic or negative. So you want to definitely have a focus, but recognize that with the Ace of Wands, you get to determine where you want to put your energy. And with Ace of Wands, it's very, very powerful energy. And if it's directed in a good way, it's going to be really great. You're going to have plenty of energy, plenty of momentum, but you got to have the trajectory in mind. And most important, you got to believe in that trajectory. You got to believe that the path you put this Ace of Wands on, this new passion on, is going to result in more joy, because that's the name of your game this transit. So Capricorn, this full moon in Aries is hitting your 4th house of home, family, and emotional security. So a big light is being shown on what might make you feel now more emotionally secure. It might be a matter of you got a family matter you have to tend to. You're focused on domesticity, right? Making sure that you're taking care of your home. But the home and family and emotional security area of your life is really important now. And it's going to gain fresh harmony and purpose by the changes that you make during this cycle. So a full moon comes and it illuminates things. And then we have the waning moon. So we reach this climactic point and then we realize, okay, this has popped, but now we need to let go of this stuff, because the waning moon follows the full moon. So you may find during this full moon cycle what you need to release in your life in order to achieve deeper levels of emotional security. What do you need to do and complete and let go of in order for you to feel more emotionally secure? The 4th house aligns with the divine mother. So how can you align with that divine mother and help to make yourself more emotionally secure? How can you feel unconditionally loved, unconditionally supported, and all tucked in? And by virtue of you giving yourself that love from the divine mother, you're going to then be able to give it to family members, which is what you may be called to do during this transit. So it's important for you to remember, you got to put your oxygen mask on first. You want to give from the overflow. You don't want to give from yourself. You want to give from the abundance that you're connected to. So find out what it is you need in order to feel emotionally secure and supported. What gives you energy? Because then you can transform it into anything you want. Handle that and then do what you need to do domestically. Now, Mercury and Mars are in the 11th house. Very, very, very different from the 4th, right? The 11th house has to do with your hopes and your dreams and your friends and your community. It has nothing to do with family, but it does have to do with emotional security, in the sense that you don't want to have a friend that undermines your emotional security, or a community that makes you feel insecure, or a hope and a dream that only leaves you feeling empty-handed, right? You want a hope and a dream that gives you more emotional security, that gives you more security, period. You want to make sure that you're around friends and associates that can lift you to that next level, that can make you feel unconditionally loved, completely supported, etc. So you want to align with supportive allies to help you build that long-term security. And you want to make sure that while you're tending to your home, you're also tending to your hopes and your dreams, and you're also being a little bit detached. That 11th house is very detached. You might not see a friend for a month and then pick up just where you left off, right? You wouldn't do that with a romantic partner, right? So you want to make sure that you're aligning with people who feed your soul, who make you feel inspired. That's going to be really key, because there is a link to that. Because if you are more inspired, you're going to have more energy, and that's going to help your emotional security. That's going to help your family. So make sure that you have your eyes on the prize. Like with Mars and Mercury, both in your 11th house, this could be a really great turning point for you, in which a dream is about to materialize, and you're going to have enough energy to make that dream real. Now, the card pulled for you was Justice. So it's about balance, right? How can you balance these two different areas of your life? How can you balance your home life, your domesticity, and your emotional security with also your friends and your community and your hopes and your dreams? And the big thing for you is, satisfaction. Justice is about the satisfied woman. And you want to allow yourself to really be satisfied, feel as if things are balanced. It might help you to practice that energy of being satisfied and eager for more. That's the perfect manifestation space. So think about just allowing yourself to experience that. Like, what would it feel like if you were completely satisfied? And then practice that energy, practice that emotion, and then make your moves. Then see what you are inspired to do when it comes to your emotional security, home, family, as well as your hopes and your dreams and your friends. So, Aquarius, this full moon in Aries is hitting your third house. And the third house pertains to a lot. It has to do with your communications. And that encompasses a lot. It has to do with your mindset, your neighbors, your neighborhood, your siblings, your cousins, short distance travels, communications of all kind, writing, speaking, getting from A to B to C. So you got to be logical during this transit. And the big thing with the third house transit is you're going to get a lot of ideas and you're going to get a lot of information coming to you. So you got to be very discerning. Remember, we just had that new moon in Virgo energy. And the key thing for Virgo is all about discernment. Like, does this work with this? Is this necessary? Is this not necessary? So you're going to have a lot of information coming to you. And you got to make sure that you're being very logical about it. Like, don't engage in things that are none of your business. Don't engage in things that are a waste of your time, because a lot of stuff is probably going to be coming at you. That being said, there may be a communication project that's reaching a peak. Maybe you're finishing up a project. In any case, you're finishing up a communication cycle, an air cycle, which means that there's certain things that you've been doing that you're probably not going to be doing anymore. Since you finished that project, you're not going to be doing that project anymore. If you're over a particular group, you're not going to be going there anymore. You're not going to be doing that. So most likely you're going to be fine-tuning your regular communications and determining, okay, well, this doesn't belong here. And that's really important because Mars and Mercury are both in Scorpio, hitting your 10th house. So you really don't have much time to dilly-dally, because the 10th house is your career. It's your status. It's your place in the world. It's a big deal. Even if you're not a professional person, it's angular, meaning if you have a transit hitting the 10th house, it also could hit the first house, your personality, the fourth house, your home, or the seventh house, your partnerships. So with a angular transit like this, you got to make sure that you're focusing on very practical matters and making sure that whatever you're focusing on is practical, and your fun is definitely practical. You need to be happy, right? But the big thing is for you to make sure that you're focused on your goals. What do you want to achieve? And then with that full moon hitting that third house of yours, you're going to be able to come up with a logical plan. It's not enough to say, I want to achieve this or I want to do that. What is the step-by-step process you got to take? How can you be logical in achieving your professional aims? Additionally, because it's a third house transit, there may be a lot of activity going on in your career, because there is an aspect. So you're going to probably have to adjust your communications a little bit when it comes to your place in the world. Maybe you're in a transition period and you're moving into another phase of your career, or you're making a move. If that's the case, then you got to make sure that your communications, third house, are aligned with your professional goals. What do you have to say, do, communicate, brand perhaps, in order to achieve your professional aims? What are the practical steps that you need to take in order to make your ambitions a reality? Now, the card chosen for you is very, very nice. 9 of Pentacles. This is called, in Crowley's deck, love of work made visible. Meaning if you love your work, that's going to translate into material wealth. So you want to make sure whatever you're doing, make sure it's a labor of love. Even if you don't love it. You have to, right? Because it's just practical. All energy at its basis is love. So if you're putting love into your work, it's going to have more energy. And if it has more energy, it's going to have more success. And the 9 of Discs, or 9 of Pentacles, says, enjoy your life. Enjoy not just your work, but the fruits of your labor. And also enjoy time out just to relax. This lady in this card is taking a leisurely stroll through the gardens of her estate, right? But she can call upon her darker impulses, that falcon that is on her hand, which is trained to hunt and kill on command. She can call upon it when she needs to, which essentially means that you at times need to be tough in order to achieve your aims. And that's important with the 10th house, right? In order to get to that next level, you may have to fight competitors, right? You may need to call upon that falcon or your darker impulses, right? It's a balance. But at the end of the day, the 9 of Discs is about loving what you're doing and letting that love translate into material security and luxury. Anything you can do to really enjoy your life during this period is great, including third house things. Maybe you need to incorporate in your life a social engagement that you go to on a regular basis, or just some kind of recreation. Maybe that could be the 9 of Discs too. And that might, who knows, that could help your career. In any case, enjoy the finer things in life is the message, while you are making sure that your communications are aligned with your career goals. And last but never least, my fishies. Happy full moon, Pisces. This one is hitting your second house. So that full moon is shining a big, big, big light on your values, on your self-worth, on your talents and your skills and your resources, what you bring to the table. So you might get a real nice boost in self-confidence this transit. And it also is going to be a time in which things are going to come to light in regard to finances. So you may get a really great idea in terms of what you can do in order to make more money. You might get an idea of where there's resources that are being squandered. And you may decide, you know what, I can't do this anymore. This is just foolish. This isn't practical. But a big light is being shown on those areas. The finances that you are dealing with right now, how you're making your money, how you can make more money, and also your talents and your skills and your abilities. Because the more you use your talents, your skills, and your abilities, the more money you will make. So it might be a big light is being shown on a latent talent that you have. Maybe you're realizing, I'm really excited about this and I'm not half bad at it. Maybe I need to develop this. Maybe I need to nurture this gift. Because if you do not use the talents that you've been given, you're not gonna make as much money as you could. So if you have any interests, anything that really excites you, explore it, because there could be some really good things going on in that area for you. And even if you decide that you want to explore a talent or develop a talent, because you're expressing it, your throat chakra is going to open. And when your throat chakra opens, you become more charismatic. And when you become more charismatic and more relaxed and more in tune with your authentic self and your voice, you're going to make more money. You're going to be more of a magnet to money, right? Because the second house really tells you that you are an extension of nature. You are part of nature, and your natural talents are what are going to make you abundant. If you use your natural talents and you're generous with them, just like the sun is generous, just like flowers bloom and don't hide, you're going to be abundant. You're going to be an extension of nature, and you're going to enjoy the God-given abundance that you've been blessed with. Now, Mercury and Mars are both in your 9th house, and this is a matter of it being very dichotomous to the second. The second is all about your talents and your skills and your abilities and your money and your possessions and what you have, what you own, what is yours. And the 9th house is about a leap of faith. So the second house is having you hold on to things. And the 9th house is saying, okay, well, expand and grow. So you need to have an outlet for that 9th house. So it might be a matter of during this full moon, you're realizing in order for me to make more money, I have to expand and grow. I have to invest in advertising, 9th house. In order to make more money, I need to work for myself. 9th house, entrepreneurship. In order to make more money, I got to go on this foreign trip, right? So there's a link, even in terms of your talent, with the second house. In order for you to develop your talent, 9th house, you have to go to school, right? You may have to expand in some way in order to get to that next level financially. So Mars and Mercury are in your 9th house, and they're causing a bit of a stir, and they're saying, okay, well, sure, you have these talents and you have this money, but how can you have more? The 9th house, the mantra is more. How can you expand? How can you grow? So this full moon is probably going to give you an idea of what you can do to go to that next level of growth. Does this mean that you're going to start your own business? Does this mean that you really are just getting itchy feet and you need to get out of the country? Or is it a matter of you're expressing your talents and now you're going to publish and broadcast them? 9th house, right? So you want to find a link between your talents and your expansion, your money and your expansion. And even if you can't find that link, I would say with Mars and Mercury in your 9th house, you need to somehow broaden your horizons. Even if it's as simple as reading a book in a genre that you're not familiar with, or watching a foreign film, you want to do something that allows you to expand beyond what you know, or that Scorpio energy is going to get itchy, and you don't want it to get itchy. So you want to make sure that you're expanding in some way. Now, the card chosen for you was Queen of Wands. Now, this is really interesting. This card aligns more with the 9th house, than it does the second house. It's a fiery energy. So what the Queen of Wands is telling you is to develop your inner confidence. Because it's a queen, the energy is more internalized. So although her approach is very enthusiastic, Queen of Wands, what she's really doing is developing confidence internally, which is actually more second house, right? So allow yourself to nurture your confidence. If you are working on exploring a talent, then make sure you're being really supportive to yourself, right? Nurture that talent, find people that can help nurture that talent. And if you are in the process of wanting to make more money, well, Queen of Wands says, know what you bring to the table, right? She's about assertion. So you want to make sure you're asserting yourself and you're applying a little bit of muscle. This could be a matter of making sure that other people know what you are worth, right? Queen of Wands is not shy, but the big thing is that she's developing her inner confidence. So what do you need to do in order to develop a higher confidence when it comes to material security? And what can you do to expand and grow that is also going to make you more confident? And I also think that if you are aligned with that Queen of Wands, you're going to follow your excitement. And that is going to lead you to where you need to be. So follow your excitement in terms of your talent. Follow your excitement in terms of the 9th house stuff. If you're excited about possibly visiting another country, we'll explore. Book a trip maybe, right? Or exploring a subject, right? Follow your passion and your excitement. But with that full moon in the second house, your main priority right now is to make sure your base is secure, that financially, you're in a good position to feel as if you can make the next move without worry, right? You don't want to create any wobbles during this transit for you. You want to make sure that you're doing whatever you can to feel financially secure and really secure in your self-worth. That's going to be the top tier priority. Well, we did it, everyone. We went through all 12 signs of the zodiac. I hope this was helpful for everyone, and I hope everyone has a very happy full moon. If there's anything I can do for you, check out my website, psychicsun.com. All of my links are in the description below. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.